Time now for a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State at the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, has reiterated that Twitter would be expected to adhere to the same set of rules even under Elon Musk. In a conversation with Ashmit Kumar, Chandrasekhar refutes allegations that the new IT rules is against free speech, clarifies that it has got more to do with accountability. He also justifies the setting up of a Grievance panel to address complaints against social media companies.
Everything that the Narendra Modi ji government is doing towards the internet, and we are doing a lot in the tech and the internet space, is aimed around creating a policy framework that has three boundary conditions. Openness, that we want the internet to be always open, and that so every one of our 1.2 billion Indians has to be able to access the internet without any exclusion or market powers being distracting them. We want safety and trust on the internet, and we want as importantly as the first two, accountability. These are almost principles for us. And on the accountability bit, in May 2021, the rules specified that every intermediary or every platform must appoint a grievance officer, and that the grievance officer would be the mechanism to create accountability between a digital Nagrik, a consumer, and his or her relationship with the platform. Unfortunately, that accountability solution, which is the grievance officer, has not worked. And as a matter of fact, it has not just not worked. A lot of platforms have given short shrift to it and made it very token. In a sense, they've appointed somebody, but the person is either not available or he's like a placeholder, as in a person who's there just there naam ke waaste. So we felt in the learnings in the last 1 year and through public consultations over the last 4 months that the accountability objective that the government has towards our citizens is not been fulfilled. And therefore we have in these rules, one of the three big amendments is about creating a grievance appellate committee, which would effectively mean that platforms who deliberately or wittingly or unwittingly not address the grievance issue, the citizens have a way of coming and appealing to a grievance appellate committee.
Just looking at the mechanics of the GSE though, you mentioned that this will act as a stick for social media intermediaries to be aware that to have that principle of accountability, like you said. But just looking at it in terms of the sheer mechanics of it, we're dealing with crores and crores of social media users. Will the GSE be able to support so many grievances?
If the intermediaries take it to heart that it is a partnership between government and intermediaries where accountability, relationship between the user and the platform is something that is a non-negotiable ask from the people who use their platforms, then if those grievance officers or the grievance addressal mechanism that platforms have start functioning, then there is limited appeals that are required to the GSE. So you are thinking of a scenario when the status quo of intermediaries not doing their duty, not doing what is asked of them continues. And I think that is not in my mind or in our government's mind a scenario that we think is going to happen as a consequence of these rules. We think as a consequence of these rules, as a consequence of what is going to be a partnership between India, the Indian government and the intermediaries, both Indian and foreign, that we will create a much more heightened awareness amongst intermediaries to the objective of accountability.
So I'll just ask a broader question, and this would be my final question on the GSE. One criticism that we've seen from the draft stage of the amended rules is that, look, this is a government-appointed committee that will in turn give the government the power to moderate content on social media. Questions on free speech are being raised. Are these valid concerns?
No, they are not valid concerns at all. And like I said, if the self-regulatory model that we have implemented in May 2021, which is that intermediaries and platforms do their grievance addressal on their own, if that works, there is no need for the government to get involved. No need for the GSE to get involved. So therefore, this is not a content moderation exercise at all. This is pure and simple mechanism of natural justice for those consumers who are feeling that their platforms are ignoring them and ignoring their grievances. It is a process of escalation. So, and like I said, on the details of how the GSE will function, the transparency, the fact that it does not infringe on areas of the IT Act and the law, those are all things that we will lay out as a terms of reference when we are ready.
as Elon Musk would say, it's still sinking in. That takeover that we saw. Along with this takeover, of course, there are new dynamics that come to the brand Twitter. Elon Musk reportedly has said that he's very clear. He believes in absolute freedom of speech, and he will be doing his bit to advance that agenda of having a platform with absolute.
No, look, I have said this. Yeah, no. So you know, I don't want to comment specifically on his views or his assuming his ownership of Twitter. I have said that the government of India, our expectations and our duty to our citizens remains intact, remains consistent, regardless of who owns company A or company B. Our expectations are of openness, safety and trust and accountability. And I hope that those expectations are expectations that are aligned to companies who do business in India. And if they don't, they have to align to those expectations. So our ask is very simple. Our ask is telegraphed extensively through conversations like this that we are having. And we don't think of this as in some ideological battlefield. The internet is not an ideology, it's not a battlefield where the left and right duel over their ideology. This is a cyberspace where billions and billions of people work. They earn their living, they create investments, they create jobs for themselves. And so our objective is to make sure that the internet for this 1.2 billion Indians remains safe and trusted and accountable. And we will be unrelenting on that ask and expectation. And we look forward to working in partnership with all the intermediaries to achieve that goal.